hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rest. Right now, it's time for hemp.
Thank you for taking Time for Hemp. I am your host, Casper Leitch. You are listening to Time for Hemp all around the world on Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, iHeartRadio. Anywhere there is sound found on the internet, we are found on the internet, and we ask that you share us with your friends. It is Thursday, and on Thursday we put a spotlight on all the amazing activists that are working diligently in the United States, and we want to put a spotlight on our joint host today as well, Paul Stanford. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Casper.
You've been busy lately. What you been up to?
Oh, taking care of business, trying to help our patients in many different venues, and doing our television show, growing cannabis, all that stuff and more.
Fantastic.
What have you been up to, Casper?
I'm sorry, what?
What have you been up to?
I have been working diligently to make the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network a fantastic outlet for people to find great information about the need to end prohibition. And on the program today, our joint guest is Courtney Moran. Good morning, Courtney.
Good morning, Casper. Good morning, Paul.
And Courtney, you're here in Oregon, and you are working diligently on a handful of projects as well, aren't you?
Absolutely.
You want to share some of those with us?
Sure. Well, we just wrapped up House Bill 4060, which brought the regulation of industrial hemp in line with traditional agricultural regulation in Oregon, and we are really excited about that. We have 42 licensees this year already that have registered with the Department of Agriculture, and it's going to be a fantastic production season, so we're very excited.
And who all is involved with that?
The Oregon Industrial Hemp Farmers Association. It's a collective organization of existing licensees from the 2015 production season and the majority of the now registered farmers for the 2016 production season. And we had formed back in August of 2015. We have weekly phone calls so farmers can communicate about any issues that they're having, collaborate on different projects, provide opportunities for each other. And it's been really a fantastic association. I've met a lot of wonderful people. They've been able, to collaborate with one another, and it's been a very successful year to date.
And you're also involved in a couple of other cool projects as well.
I am. I am working on the Relegalizing Industrial Hemp project with my co-petitioner Andy Kerr. That is a formal rulemaking petition to the DEA to remove industrial hemp from the definition of marijuana on the Controlled Substances Act.
How's that going?
It's going very well. Andy and I have been working on this for quite some time. We have several very wonderful people that have signed on as petitioners with us that have been in the industry for a long time. And, we have legislators that have signed on as petitioners as well. And, we find it, exciting that we've been working on this for a long time and, been publicly talking about this since about March 3rd. And then on April 4th, DEA announced that they themselves are considering reclassifying marijuana. And while that wouldn't specifically resolve the issues with industrial hemp, we find that this is an ideal time for DEA while they're going to reschedule, if they are going to reschedule marijuana, that they take industrial hemp out of that definition. So hemp is no longer considered marijuana under the Controlled Substances Act, and that farmers will be able to freely cultivate industrial hemp subject to their state laws.
How many states are lining up to do industrial hemp? Do you know?
Well, there are 27 states that have legalized some form of industrial hemp. One of those states does require the Industrial Hemp Farming Act or a similar bill to be passed in Congress. And the Industrial Hemp Farming Act still have not had a hearing to date, and this is the sixth time that similar bills have been put before Congress. So it's not very likely that this bill is going to move very quickly or anytime soon. But, in 2013, Colorado was the first state to cultivate or recultivate industrial hemp. In 2014, Colorado, Kentucky, and Vermont cultivated. Last year in 2015, there were 8 states that cultivated hemp. So I would expect a significant number of those 26 states are going to cultivate this year.
Any idea what's making this sit on the fence with them, or do you think they're really going to change it?
Well, are you talking about the DEA?
Yeah.
I'm very hopeful that they're going to change it. I think there's a lot of new evidence, a lot of, better science than there was out there before, especially with industrial hemp. 27 states have legalized or defined industrial hemp distinct from marijuana. Congress itself has defined industrial hemp as the 0.3% in the Agricultural Act of 2014 or the Farm Bill. 30 other industrialized nations are cultivating hemp, so the DEA just doesn't really have a leg to stand on in regards to industrial hemp. On the marijuana side, there are some other issues with medical use of marijuana and, where that fits within the schedules. I believe Schedule 3 is more reasonable than Schedule 1 and, definitely not Schedule 2. So I'm hopeful that that's what they'll do and have, sensible policy moving forward.
And that ruling comes around, when did you say? It's real soon, isn't it?
Yeah, and they, in a letter that the DEA sent out, they said that they would make an announcement by the first half of the year. So that's June 30th. So we can hope that that will happen the next few weeks.
Now, what organizations are working to put pressure on them?
Well, Oregon Industrial Hemp Farmers Association, absolutely. My own firm, Earth Law LLC, is working on it. I think all just the general organizations that have been working for a long time on the issue
are now applying pressure. I wasn't sure if there was a handful of states that were working diligently to enlighten them about the need for industrial hemp. That's why I asked.
Well, I think House Bill 4060 is a great bill that puts pressure on every state to enact sensible policy regarding industrial hemp. It's an agricultural crop. It always has been. There's just been confusion over the past 70 to 80 years, with marijuana and other cannabis and, other uses for cannabis, excuse me. So, we want our farmers to be treated just like every other farmer, subject to pesticide and water quality regulations and that type of thing, but being able to freely cultivate just like they would any other crop, just like a potato or a tomato.
Now, here in Oregon, are we in the process of putting together a new hemp industry, or is that still in the infant stages where we're just got one farm and a couple of ideas?
Well, yeah, we're definitely building up the industry here, as every state is doing that has enacted legislation. We have, as I mentioned, 42 registered farmers this year, which is a significant increase. In 2015, we only had 11 licensees maintain their licenses, 9 of whom planted and 5 who actually had viable crops. So the fact that we went from 11 up to 42 already this season is pretty incredible. And I know several of these farmers are working on bringing, decorticators here, bringing the proper harvesting and equipment, combines, et cetera, so that we can have a thriving industry here in Oregon.
And what have the crops here in Oregon been used for so far? Do you know? I mean, fuel, paper, fiber?
Several have been growing for CBD. Others have grown for cosmetics or different topical products. I know one farmer is working with different breweries and distilleries to make hemp beer and hemp vodka, which I'm very excited about. I think that's going to be a really unique aspect, especially for the Northwest and, the craft beer culture that we have out here.
Paul, do you have a question for Courtney?
So Hemp History Week's coming up. Do you want to tell the audience about that?
Yes, thank you, Paul. This is the 7th annual Annual Hemp History Week, which is a national educational campaign regarding industrial hemp. There are over 300 grassroots events this year, and the events just keep increasing every single year. There are several retailers that are involved in putting on products, having great sales on their hemp products at their stores. I am hosting a Hemp History Week event called Hemp Story 3. This is the third year I've hosted a Hemp History Week event, and I'm very excited to be doing this in conjunction with the Oregon Hemp Convention. And this event, Hemp Story 3, is on Sunday, June 12th from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Portland Expo Center.
That's pretty exciting. And there's going to be a lot of other people involved with that as well, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. We have a wonderful list of speakers coming up. We have Ben Christensen from Oregon Hemp Works, Megan Graham from Gem Farms, Michael Pierce from Portland Hemp Works, Cliff Thomason from Oregon Hempco, or Hempco. We have J.C. Riggs from Suregood, Matt Cyrus from Triple C Farms, Jerry Norton from American Hemp Seed Genetics, Greg Clinton from the Willamette Hemp Company, and Seth Crawford from Jack Hempison.
And they're going to be bringing products with them as well and letting the public become more acquainted with the idea of hemp farming?
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to have a hemp retailer panel, and a couple hemp farmer panels talking about why they're getting involved with the industry, their experiences, the challenges that they have, what they're looking forward to in the future with their companies, bringing products. We have tons of product samples from hemp companies from around the country, hemp milk, hemp hearts, some hemp cosmetic products as well. So it's going to be a really great event, and I'm looking forward to continuing to educate the public about industrial hemp and the opportunities available.
So what's the one thing that surprised you the most about hemp here recently?
Well, I was just at the Northern Colorado Hemp Expo, and one of the exhibitors had a bicycle frame made out of industrial hemp stock.
Oh, how cool.
And it was so cool. And on the bicycle, he actually had a hemp graphene battery, just a hemp battery. And so the frame was made out of hemp, the battery was made out of hemp, and it was electrical, and we were riding it outside, and it was actually riding me very quickly up a hill full of grass, and it was wonderful.
That sounds like a cool bicycle.
I know. It would be great here for all the hills in Portland.
So if somebody wants to get involved with what you're doing, how, do they just go find a farm to roll up their sleeves and help, or what?
Yeah, absolutely. They can always contact me, Courtney, at earthlawllc.com. They can reach out to the Oregon Industrial Hemp Farmers Association at oregonhempfarmers.com. And, come out to the event on June 12th, and you'll be able to meet a lot of the folks that are involved in the industry that have been working hard for the last several years to get sound regulations in place, that have been, really helping folks get involved in the industry. And, everyone is welcome. We'd love to work with anyone that's interested.
So how hard is it to become a hemp farmer?
Well, if you have some land, you just got to get some seed and put it in the ground.
So there's no special tax, there's no special licensing.
There is a registration that is required by the Oregon Department of Agriculture. It's $500 for the year, so it's really not prohibitive for anyone that wants to get involved. And there's no longer any acreage requirements. We took that out in House Bill 4060. We've opened up the door for any cultivation method, any type of propagation method. So if a farmer wants to use clones or starts, they absolutely are able to now.
And if they've got like 40 acres of hemp growing 25 feet tall, do they have to worry about the DEA coming in and shutting down their farm?
If they are registered with the State Department of Agriculture, no, because they are in compliance with the Farm Bill if they are conducting research and have their registration with the department.
I mean, if they're doing research, that's the only way you just can't say I'm going to grow it for paper, or I'm growing this takedown for fuel. It can only be grown for research.
Well, research does include market research, so you can have product sales. And, I mean, the industry is just starting out. We're all doing research, whether, we call it that or not.
Well, because when I think of research, I think of science and microscopes and people checking out how the root structure forms and that kind of thing.
There's lots of different research that needs to be done, and it can be done on all different levels, from someone just starting out and, tracking the the progress of their plants, or, studying the market that's available for the particular product that they are interested in, looking at different production methods, different harvesting methods, different processing methods. There's a lot of universities involved. There's over 21 universities that are currently conducting research on industrial hemp, so it's on all scales that the research is taking place.
So I take it those universities are in many different states.
Yes.
And don't those different states have different hoops to jump through?
Yes, every state does have different requirements. Some have licenses, some just have a registration like we do in Oregon. Some have specific reporting requirements, so you really just need to contact your state Department of Agriculture and find out what you need to do to become compliant.
So I guess that
I know recently.
Go ahead, Paul.
Excuse me. I know recently I was trying to get a graduate student from Oregon State University to help with a hemp research project, and I got pushback from OSU, and I know that Andrea Herman also has been teaching a class at OSU, Oregon State University, and she had some pushback regarding some of her classes, and you went in and represented her in the some of the bureaucratic dealings with the Oregon State University people. Did you tell our audience about that?
Sure. Without, going beyond my client confidences, several universities are just concerned, one, about, their federal funding. However, the Farm Bill has completely opened up the door for universities to engage in research. Universities may need to get a Schedule I registration to conduct particular types of research, but, in the Farm Bill, the Congress has authorized universities to engage in agricultural research and any type of research for industrial hemp. There are different bureaucratic holdups. Some folks still just don't understand the difference between hemp and marijuana and are reluctant to get involved. And there's just, there's been a lot of different issues going on with OSU. Funding was initially an issue. Now they have different policies that they put in place regarding what can and cannot be taught at the university. And ironically, this all took place after Oregon legalized recreational marijuana, and that when that took effect on July 1st was when OSU's policy changed.
Are you there, Paul?
Yeah, I'm here.
I didn't know if you had a follow-up to that.
No, I don't.
So are they putting together co-ops now so that people in different states can take their hemp crops to a co-op? And like there are tomato co-ops, there are co-ops for corn. Is there a co-op for hemp?
There's not a specific co-op that I know of, but the Oregon Industrial Hemp Farmers Association does serve somewhat as a co-op. I mean, we are collaborating. Farmers are working together on different projects, doing sharecropping agreements, helping each other with their production methods, and they're, likely going to help with harvesting methods and different processing that's available. So, the door is really opened up. And in the last appropriations bill, Congress also afforded everyone additional protections regarding industrial hemp. Section 763 of the Consolidated Appropriations Acts of 2016 removed all funding from all federal agencies that interferes with the transportation, processing, sale, or use of industrial hemp. So anyone in any state that is legally cultivating industrial hemp with an agreement with either a university or their state Department of Agriculture is able to transport those products across state lines for processing into products. And, it's important to remember that industrial hemp products are legal. They always have been. That was clarified in 2004 with HIA versus DEA, the Ninth Circuit case. And so, the products are legal. They always have been. It's the cultivation that is the issue federally.
All righty. Well, with that said, we're going to take a commercial break and pay our bills, and then we're going to come back and pick up where we left off here at Time for Hemp. are listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. Please share us with your friends.
THCF Medical Clinics are the premier physicians clinic in the United States. THCF has offices all across the United States from Hawaii to Michigan. THCF Medical Clinics has helped approximately 150,000 patients obtain their medical marijuana permits to legally possess, grow, and use medical marijuana. If you have chronic pain, multiple sclerosis, or any other neurological degenerative disease, or if you have any gastrointestinal disorders such as GERD, irritable bowel syndrome, or if you have AIDS, cancer, spastic disorders, seizure disorders, or glaucoma, call us at 1-800-723-0188 or visit us online at hemp.org. Again, the number is 1-800-723-0188 and the site is hemp.org.
Yeah, you far run track, yeah, that's your passing through. Go so now. One split a day, good music off the play. Take a dip in at the baby, keep the bad things away. That's what me doctor say. So don't worry, me have to stay. Hey, me have to follow me out, John. One split a day, good music off the play. Take a dip in at the baby, keep the bad things away. That's what me doctor say. So don't worry, me have to stay. Me want feel the breeze again. I wanna find peace again. Yeah, the struggle, the stronger the people, yeah. The heartbeat of Africa, in the island culture, yeah. Make me can't believe how far them shipped your warrior away. All of me Nubian brethren, they from Tivoli, Garden and Grand Spain. Wanna make me proud to be an African and feel say me home again, yeah. One flip a day, good music off we play. And a dip in a the bay, we keep the bad things away. So me doctor say, so don't worry, me happy stay. Yeah, one flip a day, good music off we play. And a dip in a the bay, we keep the bad things away. So me doctor say, so don't worry, me happy stay. Sudan a bleed again. Me people, them a grieve again. Denmark a freeze up. Me mama beg me not to leave again. Me love the place where me born and lifestyle. Now me roots, them a tear me apart. I'm traveling far to follow my longing out. Can't believe me destiny. I know me soul all divided in a tree. But right I know I got me find me melody. Me melody, cause I want to flip a day. Good music I be play. And a dip in a the bay, we keep the bad things away. So me doctor say, so don't worry, me happy stay. Yeah, one flip a day. Good music I be play. And a dip in a the bay, we keep the bad things away. So me doctor say, so don't worry, me happy stay. One flip a day. One flip a day. Flip a day. I thought full up on me play. One flip a day. In the shade. One flip a day. I don't know. Me want feel the breeze again. I wanna find peace again. Yeah, that is struggle. The stronger the people, yeah. The heartbeat of Africa. In the island culture, yeah. Make me can't believe how far them shipped your warrior. One flip a day, good music I be play. And a dip in a the bay, we keep the bad things away. So me doctor say, so don't worry, me happy stay. Yeah, one flip a day, good music I be play. And a dip in a the bay, we keep the bad things away. So me doctor say, so don't worry, me happy stay. One flip a day, good music I be play. And a dip in a the bay, we keep the bad things away. So me doctor say, so don't worry, me happy stay. Yeah, one flip a day, good music I be play. way. I'm not dipping on the bay. We keep the bad things away. I told me doctor say. So don't worry, I'll be stay.
One spliff a day is all I can say, is all you need anyway. So I thought, you kids probably figured that you invented rap. Us old geezers have been doing it for a while now here at Time for Hemp. It is Thursday, and on Thursday we're putting a spotlight on the amazing activists here in the U.S. And we are got a spotlight here in Oregon with Courtney Moran, who's working diligently to raise the voice of of the hemp movement here in Oregon, and we'll be getting a great presentation for you to learn from during Hemp Week here in Portland. And I would encourage people to turn out and see what it is that you can do in the hemp movement to make it grow. Pun intended. With that said, Courtney, if I wanted to start becoming a hemp farmer, and you said we can transport the hemp into another state, so I get my decorticator and I cut down all my hemp, and I got this huge truck full of hemp, and I'm heading across the border out of Oregon into another state, or I'm going into Las Vegas, or I'm going into, Maine. They're not going to like what they find on my truck, are they?
Well, they shouldn't have any issue because it's a legal product.
Well, now, how do you convince them of that? Because, they always say, that's marijuana, looks like marijuana, smells like marijuana.
Well, you can require them to have a test, or you could have your own test results. In Oregon, every farmer is required to have their crop tested before harvest to show that the crop is below 0.3% THC. So I would recommend keeping those test results with you if you are transporting any products.
All right, now how do you find seed that has such low THC? And is there really that little THC in these plants? My golly.
Yes, definitely. We had, 5 farmers grew last year that grew less than 0.3% THC. There are several varieties from around the world that have been bred to be below 0.3%. Many countries do have that 0.3% limit on the THC, which, I find a little confusing because it's a completely arbitrary number. 0.3% has been around maybe since, the 70s. I've been told it came out of France or potentially out of Canada, and that is the standard that is around internationally, but that really does not determine the psychoactivity or the intoxicating threshold in a cannabis plant. It's the ratio of THC to CBD that does determine the intoxicating threshold in a cannabis plant.
Now, if I came across one of these farms, are these farms being grown like they were back in the 30s where they were getting to be 25, 26, 27 feet tall and just huge plants, 40, 50, 60, 100 acres?
Some are, yes. It really just depends what the farmer's intended use of the crop is. If they are growing, a fiber crop, they're going to plant it densely so that there's no branching out. It'll grow tall. Jerry Norton had a really great crop last year of the small amount of acreage that he was able to plant. Definitely much taller than I was. There's another farmer in Bend. His plants in, just over 3 months were already 21 feet tall.
Wow.
The stalks were fatter than my arm, and it's incredible how quickly industrial hemp can grow. And, right now we're still cutting down trees when we could just be growing hemp and building houses out of that and using it for our paper and other construction materials.
Now, when a farmer starts working with this, how do they start learning about this plant and how to care for it? I know that, corn and soybean has been available for the farmer to grow for a long time. So they already have a lot of innate knowledge about pesticides and time to plant, time to harvest, what to look for when there's problems. Where do they get their instruction on this plant?
There's some information on the internet. Andrea Herman's course used to teach about the agronomy aspect and how to grow the plant. You can join the Industrial Hemp Farmers Association and speak with farmers that have been cultivating last year. And, there's several folks that have experience growing cannabis hemp and that they can speak with.
So people say that hemp needs no pesticide. Is that true with these farms?
Yeah. I don't know farmers that are using any pesticides or herbicides. If it's planted timely, it will outcompete any other weeds that are growing. And even if a farmer does have to plant late, there may be some weeds, but the hemp grows so tall that it really isn't that much of an impediment on the crop.
And are we finding that the soil is improving with this particular plant being a crop?
I haven't seen any results yet, but I know in Colorado they were working on phytoremediation studies, and I believe some of the farmers here in Oregon are going to be testing that on land that has been used for conventional farming, but they are going to convert to organic cultivation with their hemp crops. And so in the next couple of years, they're going to be testing the soil and seeing, how much it is remediated. I know many of the farmers have had their soil tested before they planted, so they will have that baseline information.
Now, when a farmer gets ready to put this particular crop in, do they have to stop and wonder if they're going to be able to find a market for it, and how hard is it to find a market for it because it's such a new avenue? I mean, like if I grow tomatoes, I can go down to Wendy's. They'll buy my tomatoes for their salad bar. The fruit market will buy it for their customers. My neighbor will buy my tomatoes because my neighbor needs tomatoes for whatever, right? If nothing else, I can sell them to a factory. I don't know about a hemp crop. How many outlets are there for a hemp crop to find a market?
Well, there are several markets that are opening up. The demand for industrial hemp, especially organic hemp, is increasing exponentially every single year. There's so many different outlets for a hemp crop. A lot of farmers are growing for CBD. That demand is increasing as more folks are learning about the incredible benefits that CBD can offer. There are several textile companies that are becoming very interested in using more sustainable textiles that don't require, so many inputs while it's growing, or chemicals to break down the fibers or to clean the fibers or bleach the fibers, as is required with, for example, cotton. So there are several companies that are looking to start incorporating industrial hemp into their products. And I've noticed even here in Portland and just in my travels, more and more stores are selling hemp products. Nature's Gate, they have a hemp shampoo. There are, Whole Foods is selling a lot of different hemp products. Even I go to Fred Meyer here locally, and they have, tons of different hemp products on the shelves. And it's really incredible what you can find. Even going into little markets that I find they're selling hemp milk or just other hemp products. So there's a lot of market opportunity available. You can be growing for food, growing for construction materials, growing for fiber.
Well, I ask because oftentimes in my stump speeching, I'll say that if we start creating a crop here in America known as hemp for the farmer to use, the farmer can grow this wonderful plant, and in return will also create more jobs here at home. And I wasn't sure if the farmers now, that's with the crops that they have, had to send their crops like to Canada to have Canada companies turn their crops into paper and fiber and fuel, or if this really is creating jobs in local communities.
Yeah, I think it definitely is creating jobs and, providing new folks opportunities that they weren't previously available to them. I know Paul earlier mentioned that, he was trying to get some students to work with him. I have one farmer that's working with students from Willamette University, and they're out in the field working and learning about the cultivation and different practices. We are hoping to reach out to these rural communities here in Oregon that have relied on the timber industry for so long. And with the decline in the timber industry, they're looking for something new. And, we could be growing hemp in these areas. We can be retrofitting these mills, get these people and these counties back into, working order to get them some sustainable profits and some sustainable income.
Now, unless I'm mistaken, Paul, don't you have a farm or two here in Oregon?
I haven't been growing hemp, and last year I had a little plot for cannabis, medicinal cannabis out in Bend, but I'm not doing that this year.
And do you have a question?
How did you first get involved in hemp? What drew you to the industry, Courtney? Tell us how you came to be a hemp attorney.
Great question, Paul. I was a senior in college, and I was taking a plant biology class. And at the same time, I had a very good friend give me the book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes. And it changed my life. I just could not believe all the things I was reading, that, all the research that Jack had done about industrial hemp and just cannabis in general, all the environmental benefits, which is really what got my attention. And so I was in this plant biology class, and I had to write a paper about a plant. And after reading Emperor Wears No Clothes, I decided to write about cannabis. And because it was biology class, I had to find scientific studies that supported the information. And I just kept reading and researching, and everything was verified. And I just kept learning more and more and more. And I learn new things about hemp every day, and I'm just so amazed. Then when I was in law school, I interned for Keith Stroup at National Normal in Washington, D.C., and I worked mostly on medical marijuana research issues there, and I continued to do additional research on cannabis. I wrote my law school thesis on medical marijuana and crime rates and prison rates in states that had already legalized medical marijuana, so California, Oregon, and Colorado. And then I moved to Oregon and started working with Lee Berger and John Lucy on medical marijuana patient defense rights and a lot of different issues. But I've always been really interested in the environmental benefits of cannabis. And so I went back to Lewis and Clark, and I got a Master of Laws in Environmental and Natural Resources Law. But I focused that entire program on industrial hemp law. And I wrote an article which was published last year in the Fordham Environmental Law Review titled Industrial Hemp, Canada Exports, United States Imports, just looking at the irony of the fact that, it is illegal, or was illegal at the time, for our U.S. farmers to cultivate industrial hemp, but that the U.S. is the largest importer of industrial hemp products in the world. And so that really, all this research and education that I've had around hemp has just been, really incredible. And I just continue to learn how valuable this plant is, and that we cannot allow our farmers to not participate in that market. The environmental benefits are incredible, as we talked about earlier with phytoremediation, pulling up toxins out of the soil, providing nitrogen to the soil, aerating the soil. There are some studies that report if you plant some crops, such as winter wheat, after you plant a hemp crop, it can increase yields by 10 to 15%. How incredible is that? Not only does it clean up our soil, but we can increase our yields for other crops after we grow it. It's amazing. And I also have Andrea Herman to thank. I took her course at OSU, the very first one, back in the spring of 2013, and I just learned so much from that course, and I highly recommend it to anyone. If they're looking just to learn more about hemp, I would definitely take that course.
And I would highly recommend
that online, can't they?
Yeah, it is an online course, so you can be anywhere in the world and you can take it. And if you're over, I believe it's 65, you just have to pay I believe it's a $25 registration fee, and then you can audit the course. So any age, I encourage you to reach out and learn. Pick up Jack's book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes. There's so much information in there.
And I highly encourage people to go to the websites of our sponsors and let them know that you heard about them here on the big broadcast. We're going to take a commercial break, and then when we come back, we're going to pick up where we left off here at Time for Hemp. You are listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. Please share us with your friends.
Serious is your source for quality cannabis and sativa seeds. Serious Seeds are the creators of legendary strains like AK-47, Bubblegum, Chronic, Cali Mist, and White Russian. The AK-47 is probably the most awarded strain on the planet. The high THC content of AK-47 makes it the perfect medical strain for patients seeking quick pain relief. Cali Mist is an almost pure sativa. Female medical cannabis patients have reported that this strain helps relieve menstrual cramps. Serious Seeds just acquired another Dutch high-quality seed bank, Magus Genetics. From now on, Serious Seeds can offer you even more award-winning strains. The fine folks at Serious Seeds strive to breed the best cannabis genetics that they can find, so patients can rely on the effectiveness of their medicine. Go to SeriousSeeds.com to grow your medicine. That site again is SeriousSeeds.com.
Well, I once had a bowl, good green reefer, a big fat yellow beef, much, much sweeter. Hide, don't hide it. Hide, don't hide it. Well, hide, don't hide it. Hide, don't hide it. Well, hide, don't hide it. Fire up right now.
Yeah, fire up right now. Be loud, be proud. Come out of the closet. Let the whole world know that you utilize recreational marijuana or medical cannabis. And be proud that you do, and stand shoulder to shoulder with us and make a loud noise so those who are trying to outlaw realize that it's kind of pointless. There are just too many of us who are using it. It's kind of like outlawing sugar, really. And even if you're not using it to consume, as we've been talking here during this segment, there's a lot of things you can do with it. You can wear it. You can use it to write your list of groceries on it with a piece of paper made from it. You can drive your car. You can have a car made of it and then drive your car with fuel that's powering it. So to stand against this plant is really to stand against something that you need. Isn't that right, Courtney?
Absolutely. I think that's a great point. You know, several years ago, you just said the word cannabis or you say the word marijuana and, you know, people quiver almost. They don't want to hear it. And now a lot more folks are becoming more comfortable with talking about it. And I think that's a really good point, is that if you support cannabis, whatever form that it's in, it's important that you speak about it. You know, talk to anyone you meet, talk to people in the grocery store. If you're buying a hemp product or if they are buying a hemp product, you know, talk to them about it. Don't be afraid to say the word cannabis or marijuana or hemp, and, you know, educate it. That's what it's going to take to make the difference and to make the change that we all need and that the environment and the earth really needs.
Boy, and you're not kidding, talking about bringing a room to a standstill. I'm from Indiana, and there were times in Indiana I'd be in a grocery store just buying pop and chips, and I'd say, for one reason or another, say the word cannabis out loud, the word marijuana out loud, and the clerk and people standing in line would look at me like I had just said the N-word.
It is amazing, you know, what has happened over the last 80 years and people just even being afraid to talk about this. And, you know, especially the confusion between hemp and marijuana. You say hemp, people automatically think marijuana. I mean, I've had my, you know, hemp cloth backpack, and people are saying, oh, well, maybe we should smoke that. And just, you know, the lack of knowledge around the plant and the difference between an industrial agricultural crop and an intoxicating crop is incredible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, well, we're down to our last few minutes here, and I know that you've been busy working on a thing called House Bill 4060. What is House Bill 4060?
Right. As I mentioned earlier, House Bill 4060 has brought the regulation of industrial hemp in line with traditional agricultural regulation in Oregon. So we have removed acreage requirements, provided cultivation flexibility for any type of cultivation or propagation method. We removed the licensing requirement and moved it to a registration requirement for farmers, and that has resulted in a significant number of farmers becoming registered in Oregon. So from last year in 2015, 11 farmers to now 42. That's absolutely incredible. And I get phone calls every day of new farmers that want to get on board, or just, you know, the existing registrants having share crop agreements with other farmers and getting more farmers on board to cultivate. We also, in House Bill 4060, opened up the door for private labs that are accredited by the Oregon Health Authority and licensed by the Oregon Liquor Control Commission to conduct inspections and testing for the crop. In 2015, the Department of Agriculture was the only entity inspecting and sampling and testing the industrial hemp farmers crop, and it was very cost prohibitive for the farmers to have this done. So now they'll be able to have more frequent testing at a more affordable rate. And what I'm most excited about in House Bill 4060 is that we put in a requirement for mandatory testing for any industrial hemp product intended for human consumption. So whether that's ingestion, inhalation, or a topical, every product will be tested in line with the testing that OHA has put in place for marijuana items. So for molds, mildew, pesticides, solvent residues, THC, and CBD levels. So every product coming out of Oregon, consumers will know exactly what is in that product, what was used on the plant when it was growing, and really be able to make an informed consumer choice. And I think that's, a lot of consumers are trying to become informed and actually, have the right to know what is in their products and what they are buying on their shelves. And I think that's just an example for what every other industry should be striving for. We shouldn't be trying to hide, what we're spraying on our plants or what other product or other, chemicals or whatever else we're putting into our products, and let our consumers actually know what they are consuming.
Okay, now as the laws have changed over the years here in Oregon, if I was a police officer, I'd be scratching my head. I mean, there was one time here in Oregon where if you saw a marijuana plant or a cannabis plant growing anywhere for any reason, whoever was doing it got arrested, plain and simple, and you tore it out, and that was it. Then it got to where with medical cannabis, you had indoor grows, and so you figured if they were a large indoor operation, they probably were legal. So before you start tearing out the plants and hauling people in, start asking for paperwork. So now, if I'm a police officer driving up and down the roads and watching for speeders and crime, and I come across acre after acre after acre of these tall plants, and how do I know now at this point what's legal and what's not?
Well, the law enforcement can do inspections. Every farmer, whether they're, an industrial hemp farmer or a marijuana grower, whether it's for recreational or medical, all do have a registration or a license, and they should have that card posted at the grow site or at their farm, and if they're transporting, to keep a copy of that with them so that if for whatever reason they were stopped, that they would have the documentation to show what they have and that it is a legal product.
Okay, so you still need that kind of stuff, whereas you don't need that for tomatoes and onions and peaches. So
right. I mean, we still aren't to the point where, it's legal federally, and once we get to that point, I think that's dynamic is really going to change.
Okay, now we're down to the last couple of minutes here, Paul. Do you have any closing questions for Courtney?
No, I just want to say that, keep up the great work. It's good to see sort of thing going on. You want to tell our audience about your upcoming presentation at the Normal Legal Conference?
Yeah, I'll be speaking at the Aspen Legal Conference, the Aspen Normal Legal Conference, doing a hemp history and a current status of the industrial hemp law. I'll also be, discussing the Relegalizing Industrial Hemp Project, which is a formal rulemaking petition to the DEA to remove industrial hemp from the Controlled Substances Act definition of marijuana. And, it's interesting because I was on a flight to Colorado about a month and a half ago, and I sat next to a DEA agent, and we were chatting all about marijuana and cannabis and hemp, and he was I told him all about the project and the petition that I'm going to be filing, and he said that he supports hemp. He supported the project. He does not agree with marijuana. He's just seen too many things in his day-to-day life and in his job. But he did support industrial hemp. He understands the agricultural value of the product and of the plant. And so, times really are changing. The education is out there, the science is out there, people are discussing it, they see the value, they understand the difference. So we just have to continue that and reach out to those that don't. And, if we come across someone that doesn't understand or maybe are opposed, don't get upset. Take the time to explain to them what the difference is. Take the time to hear what their concerns are and give them some solid information about what the facts are about cannabis.
And do you have a website that you want to direct people to?
Sure, yeah. Check out the OregonHempFarmers.com. You can always reach me at Courtney at EarthlawLLC.com. And if you would like to, meet with me face-to-face and come learn more about industrial hemp, I encourage you to come out to Hemp Story 3 this Sunday, June 12th from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Portland Expo Center. The event is free. It's for all ages. There are product samples available for everyone in attendance. You can meet with hemp retailers and hemp farmers, and I just encourage you to come out and learn more about cannabis hemp.
And Paul, do you have any websites or anything that you want to promote today?
EmpowerClinics.com for our medical clinics.
And you also do a groovy TV show every Friday night that people can find, can't they?
That's right. You and I often co-host on Cannabis Common Sense, which is live on Friday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific time. And you can find it on YouTube and Ustream.tv.
And I would encourage people to check out the entire broadcasting network of Time for Hemp. We have a team of people who are dedicated to ending prohibition all around the world. Our downloads are free, and you can share them with your friends. We have apps that you can put into your smart devices and handhelds, and we are working on trying to grow a live garden on the site. So it might be interesting to tune in and check that out. It depends on what we're doing. It might not be that interesting at the time. Who knows? We got cartoons that you can find at the website as well, and lots of other interesting facts and blogs. So make it a point to go to Time for Hemp, share it with your friends, and let our sponsors know that you heard about them here. And make it a point to check out all the programs and tell everybody around you that prohibition is a failed policy and that it really is time for hemp.